wanted to start today with having everybody introduce themselves, but we've been hanging out for a little while and everyone's already gotten a chance to do that, which has been really nice. Um, Today's agenda, again, as the state of the Slingerland Address, we're going to have a report from the board of directors. They're going to let you know what's been going on in their work, in their world. I'll present on the front office and what we've been up to. And then we'll turn it over for the rest of the time to the Faculty Senate Exec Committee, who will present the 2025 Slingerland Award, the committee reports, and the closing. I'm going to move fast enough to hope that nobody noticed the typo. With that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to our wonderful board president, who needs no introductions, Ms. Joan Beauregard.
I want to make sure I am unmuted. Am I unmuted? Good. Thank you very, very much for asking me to come in today. I would like to recognize my other board members. I believe Jennifer Fukutaki, our vice president and treasurer. I saw her on the screen, and she is a tremendous volunteer for us. Tony Altu doesn't take very much introduction, but she has been also an excellent volunteer, giving a lot of time and effort to all of our goals for the year. Mark Brooks, who many of you may not know, he is a head of school in Madison, Wisconsin. And before becoming a head of school in Madison, Wisconsin, he was a head of school in two schools in the LA area. One is the Center for Early Education, which is a highly regarded school for students in the LA area, and then Pilgrim Lutheran. And then before that, he was an attorney. He was in-house counsel for Honda of America. So we're very, very fortunate to have him. And Andrea Archer, who is a dedicated volunteer like all of you. Her son graduated from Hamlin Robinson School, and they are very supportive of all of our efforts to make this program available to students and teachers. So that's our board. Next slide. So I've already mentioned the names and why they're on the board. So there you are. And Jen, I don't know if she can be unmuted at the same time if she wants to add to the presentation. I would welcome her to make any comments she would like. These are this is the role of the board. We are the group that sets the organizational vision, mission, and purpose, and we have not strayed away from that for decades. We help set or reset the strategic direction and implementation of our direction. We select and support the executive director. If you read anything about the role of a board in any documents on the web, it always says hire, fire the executive director. And we're not putting fire there because he's doing an excellent job and we couldn't even imagine that. So select and support the executive director. Monitor and manage our financial resources, and thank goodness we do have some of those today. We're very fortunate. And we ensure that the Slingerland Institute operates legally and ethically. So that's our role. And I guess we could have said support the work of the Faculty Senate. That goes without saying. Our projects for the year were to stabilize and diversify and grow our funding streams. And you may remember we had the annual fund in the fall. The board made a generous collaborative donation to match funds to really promote the giving of our community, and that worked very, very well. And so we've done great, the association, the Institute's done a great job for that. Our goal was to stabilize, also fund the streams, fund the different jobs that we're doing. So we could increase the training of educators to ensure our needs of the Slingerland Institute as well as the needs of the general public. The scholarship program has really grown quite a bit. We can talk about that a little bit later. We are promoting the Slingerland Institute at many conferences. There's a new conference that some of you may not be aware of. It was founded a couple years ago. I'll talk about that last. I'll start by saying we're having a presence at the Reading League. We're continuing to have a presence at the IDA. Many of you have represented the Institute in the past, and we will have Seth there again this year. And ALDS is the Association of Learning differences schools. And that was started a few years ago. Stacy Turner, head of Hamlin Robinson, is on the executive committee. And they are a group of independent schools, not many of them using the Slingerland method, but independent schools all over the country. Usually independent schools that are accredited by the National Association of Independent Schools, and they're their own organization. This is their second year to have a national conference, and the national conference is being held in Seattle in July and at Hamlin Robinson School. So Seth and I know are attending that conference. Jen will be there also. I don't know if others are attending. It's not an inexpensive conference to sponsor. And so we are one of the sponsors of that association. Seth, do you want to say anything more about ALDS?
Just that I went last year, and one of the things that was really impactful to me, and the reason why I wanted to return, is there was a lot of schools who specialize in students with learning differences, especially dyslexia. And so they really want to understand what Slingerland is. And this year, because they are hosting ALDS for this conference at Hamlin Robinson School, while there's an introductory comprehensive going on, we thought it was an indispensable time for us to appear, to be there to answer questions, to have as many people on hand as possible, so that people can see that you actually can teach more than one or two students at a time. A lot of the school educators at ALDS that I talked to had gone through some form of OG training, and they would tell me that there is no way to turn that into a whole classroom approach, that it can't function. And so I have a couple of bets that I'm looking forward to collecting on next summer.
Yes, and the firm that I work with, Educators Collaborative, which is a national recruiting and well, I'll say a national search firm. We are also co-sponsors of that workshop or that conference. So I know a lot of those heads, and it'll give me an opportunity to speak with them about both of my projects that I'm involved in. One big project that we've been doing this year is to renew or review with the aim of renewing the strategic partner plan. Many of you know about that plan. It's been in place for a very long time. We only have one school presently that's a strategic partner, and we're looking to grow that quite a bit. So we've been working a lot on that. And then, of course, supporting the committee work of reviewing and renewing our materials. And thank you so much. We could not have accomplished anything without the work from all of you. And the materials are just beautiful and, of course, extremely useful. So that's, I think, next slide. And I think that's my last slide. Oh, the role of the board, we've already talked about the projects, and then now to the different funding streams. Do I talk about that, Seth, or do you want to head into that?
I can take over. You definitely mentioned it. I thought it'd just be worth it. Some people have asked in the last year if we at this meeting can go a little bit into, when we talk about multiple funding streams, what are we actually talking about?
Okay.
And it means that we're thinking about tuition and sales as sort of one bucket of funds for the nonprofit, specific direct donations, and those might be to a scholarship fund or like the annual appeal that we did at the end of the year last year, which is why we were able to print the practical guide as much and as cheaply as we were. We also have grants and trusts that have been left specifically by people who supported Slingerland one way or another in order to form a ongoing revenue stream. And then we also now, under board direction, created several investments that themselves generate a predictable amount of revenue that we can then use to fund our nonprofit activities, which is a big way of saying, if donations go down, we now have other things that can balance us. When things like donations or tuitions go up, that means that we have a lot more flexibility and opportunity to grow. This diversity of funding helps Slingerland be more stable than it has been in the past.
The investments are very important. As you know, we have had the Beth Slingerland Fund for many, many, many years, and that's definitely an asset for our program. But we also received a nice gift a few years ago, and we chose to invest that. And so we have investment policies, and we pull a certain percentage of the income from our investment funds, which is excellent because it's allowing us to grow. I will say, if you don't mind, my husband and I do not have any children. We have lots of nieces and nephews and goddaughters and godsons. But our nieces and nephews' parents are quite comfortable. So we have chosen to plan in our planned giving for when we pass, that monies will go to two major nonprofits, three actually, the Coast Guard Academy, I forget that. And it's important. I feel good knowing that whatever, when we're gone, our money will be used wisely by those organizations that we've chosen. So for those of you who haven't thought about your future, think about planned giving. It's a great opportunity. And please think about the Slingerland Institute. So, okay, next slide. Seth, are you going to take them from here or do I continue?
We can go either way you want. If you'd like me to take them from here, I can take over, talk a little
I'll
bit more
pass it off.
specifically.
I'll
Thank
pass
you.
it off for you.
So we did want to talk about the scholarship programs because we had a lot of people apply for scholarships this year, and it was a little bit different than in some of the past years because we were able to pull from two different funding sources, but there were also two different committees looking at the scholarships. What that did is it created a lot more flexibility and opportunity for people who wanted Slingerland training this year. Again, because people are curious in the faculty senate, how do we fund these differently and where do we make our decisions? The Teachers Education Fund comes directly from grants and trusts like the Beth Slingerland Fund, as well as direct donations to the scholarship. So anytime someone donates through our website and says, I want this to be scholarship, 100% of those funds must be used in scholarship. They can't be used any other way. The board, when they created their investments based on a separate gift about 1.5 years ago, decided that a certain percentage of the annual investment revenue had to become scholarship, that they really focused on being about equity so that they could think if there is someone who needs some funds, but maybe they wouldn't normally be considered for the teacher education fund, they don't meet those exact criteria, it allows us to then say, let's to be equitable rather than equal. Let's give an equitable fund. And that, again, greatly increased what we could do. In 2024, we had 9 applicants for scholarship. All 9 were granted, and the total award from the TE fund was $25,150. I loved that because anytime we have people taking classes, that's great. We need people to learn Slingerland. In 2025, we jumped to 20 applicants. People had heard about the scholarships. They knew that our programs were going. Some of them were in more demand. We had a conscious effort to draw people in through some actual paid advertisement. And of those 20 applicants, 18 were granted. The 2 that were not clearly didn't meet the criteria for either board. And that was actually really good for the front office to know that that was not a great fit. But because we now have these 2 funds, we were able to offer $44,160. That is a nice improvement from the previous year. And I think something that we're going to keep seeing is that I don't know if anybody has looked at costs anymore, but things are getting more expensive. And so I think we'll see more people looking for some amount of scholarship help. So that's something that we'll be trying to think about. How do we support as we also try to grow? So over the last 2 years, we've given nearly $70,000 in scholarship. That is a tremendous gift. And if ever you wanted to donate to the scholarship funds, or as Joan brought up, think about planned giving, we're happy to make sure that those funds get used appropriately so that the Slingerland approach can continue to impact the lives of students. As we also mentioned, we're going to 3 different conferences that we're planning on. ALDS is settled. IDA has not yet started registration, and the Reading League, we've just begun our registration process. It does mean that in October I will be on the road for another couple of weeks, but maybe I'll be in a place near you, and that'd be awesome. If you are interested in helping with either of these conferences or giving me some thoughts on who I should be talking to at those conferences, please send me an email because I would love to follow up with you. The strategic partner plan has also been reviewed by the board. They went through quite a revision process. Last time it had been updated was the fall of 2020, and it's been a big 4 years. So it was ready to revisit. And the real focus was on what are the current needs of the Institute and what are the current needs of our partners. I had multiple meetings with heads of school talking about what specifically they wanted, what would make it feel worthwhile to truly partner as institutions. And they gave me some really great ideas. So the board finalized the plan for our final, I think, sorry, our final review and discussion with the heads of schools before we officially launch it and announce the specifics. But we have 4 different schools who are currently reviewing it and are giving me feedback in the next week. So I'm hoping that we'll be able to announce the specifics of this in about 2 to 3 weeks. But in general, the strategic partner plan is about building community through that shared purpose. It's the same reason we're going to ALDS. We want to make sure that students learn the skills they need to be successful, and that the Slingerland approach works for that. So in general, the people who would qualify as partners are organizations who are looking to integrate the Slingerland approach. We're not looking for training sites. We want people who want to be doing Slingerland. And we are going to require that they have instructors on staff so that people that we know are certified and we know are going to be high quality leads are there to support their colleagues. As benefits, there's a few things that we're thinking about. Discounts on things is going to help with one thing to keep costs down so they can do continual training. But another is that it's community support, newsletters, research updates, opportunities to connect and share with other partners. I've had multiple schools who said that the thing that I want most is direct connection and facilitated time between other Slingerland schools. We want to know how they're doing it and how they're making it work. So that's one of the things that we're going to be working on providing for them in the next year or so. Which brings me to the front office. Now, before I go into my piece, a big, wonderful thank you and shout out to the members of our board who are always available for my truly sometimes inane and specific questions, my double checking that I think what I'm doing is okay. And a special shout out to Joan and Jen, who were just always there with time and energy and a pleasant demeanor, especially when I'm going, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm figuring it out. The front office is responsible for a lot of different things. There's 3 of us currently working in the front office. Both I and Ken Morgan have gone full-time. It's an amazing opportunity for us because we can get so much done. And one of our instructors, Emma Lopez at Hammond Robinson, has taken over the role of store administrator. So she has actually been able to not only pack up and send things as needed to schools, she's been able to double check our training materials as we're going and make sure that errors and orders have been fixed before they went out, letting me know when she spots something as an issue in a product. So we've got this list going. And just if you see Emma, tell her, make sure that she knows that she is appreciated for the work that she's doing. It's not a ton of time, but it's important time. The front office is always focused on 3 very big things. Anything to do with classes, the schedule, supporting instructors or participants, organizing, communicating, supplying. We are in charge of making sure that all of that goes off without a hitch. The next couple of months, you'll get to see us absolutely shine as big boxes show up at schools for the trainings. In terms of development, we are often doing a lot of that work, but to be clear, so no one's worried, we guide, we advise, we support, especially with technology, all that development and updating, but the faculty senate is the one who gets the final say on every word. Daily activity is the business of the business. Marketing, outreach, making sure the shop is running, answering the many emails that as people are sending them out with every question you can imagine. And our guiding principles remain since I started: streamline what we do, renew what needs renewed, and grow as we can. And I'm excited that we have moved from a focus on streamlining and making our process smoother to renewing what needs to be done and helping to grow what Slingerland is. So we've been in a really wonderful place the last couple of years as we've been planning and building together. Getting to see what we're doing is rewarding, but getting to see actual things appear, classes and texts and things like that has been amazing. This is my brain for you to see. I want you to know you do not need to worry about this. This is my job. One of the first things we did this year is Cam and I sat down and we created a true structural schematic of when the faculty senate does something, anything, where are all the places we have to consider where it goes. We genuinely use this. I use this to make sure that if something happens, we know all the places it's got to touch. So you can imagine everything in the big blue box on the perimeter, that's what the front office is keeping an eye on. The board is off the monitor, leaning over, making sure, yep, it's going right. That's what we need. When I came on board, we spent a lot of time talking about 5 big areas of growth. Now, some of you might have seen this. I want to go over this briefly for those of you who haven't. First thing that we saw was an issue is the number of instructors we currently have. The ones we have are at the top of their game largely. They're fantastic, but many of them are towards the end of their career, and I have had to tell multiple people, no, you cannot retire. There are people on this phone call, on the Zoom, who could raise their hand to attest to that right now. So then we realized that we needed a clear path to certification. So the certification committee has done a ton of work on that. I'm going to let Karen talk about that in a minute. And we need to keep working on our high quality materials. We had such good work and ideas in what Mrs. Slingerland created and in the work of those who come after. But we had a lot of things that we could update, a lot of things that we could make so it's more useful and functional for both our instructors and participants. That also tied into the high quality classes. We knew we had good things, but they had to get looked at again, revised. And we want to make sure we have classes available for multiple audiences and multiple formats, meaning online, in person, 3 hour, 20 hour, 6 hour. You want a month Slingerland? I got a month Slingerland. We can do this for you. And last, we need our training locations. Where are people going to be taking these classes? Which did lead to eventually discussion of the partnership plan. So in 2025, we decided that if it was not hitting 4 of these issues, it could not be done. That was a big, scary decision to say we're not going to do certain things, that even some things that could have brought in some revenue, because what we need to do is get a better foundation first. That meant curriculum revision and updating, the strategic partner school program, creating digital masters of every product we have so we can print and adjust easily, instructor class handbooks and participant guides for every class that we have, and the certification process, the print physical textbook, which many of you now have in your wonderful, wonderful bookshelves. We had to find a way to support interns to actually become instructors, as well as train and align our faculty senate on updates to the approach, and have our short class curriculum standardized, because that was the area that had been created most recently and needed the most eyes at the end. This is a ton of work, and none of this could be done by the people of the front office without the rest of the faculty senate. So on Friday, I was out to dinner and I met someone and they said, what do you do? And I told them I'm the executive director of Slingerland. And after they stopped, I convinced them it wasn't about drums. They said, so how many people work with you? And I said, well, there's 3 people in the front office and I work with about 50 people. And that's the reality of Slingerland, the Institute. So every single thing that we have done on that list has gone through this same 5-step process. We've identified specific needs for it. We've done what I call brutal prioritization, which we say what's going to build the strongest foundation and how do we ensure that whatever that is then teachable and understandable beyond this project. We do very targeted development. We test the heck out of it. I killed so many trees printing out copies of the practical guide so that I could physically edit them and hand them to our designer, because that's what it takes before we can deliver something that is of the quality that is deserving of the work of the people who put in their time and their energy here. So in the last couple of years, 2023, 2024 was all about building a foundation, building a website, Google Workspace, so we could do collaborative work. Making our printable files began in 2023 and 2024. all new instructors materials started coming out, the instructor's notebook, our short class guides, all the rest, as well as the curriculum revision and update began in January of 2023. So this last year, we got to build on that fight. So we updated our website with clear branding. We linked it all to print marketing that's going to our conferences. We updated our SEO, which is what tells people to go see our website. And we have, since we finished that process, seen a big uptick in traffic, which is great. We have eyes looking at Slingerland saying, what the heck is this? The curriculum revision update has included all of our slide decks. It's the process of short class revision. It's the creation of a new class that I get to talk about, I think, probably at our next meeting. Is the IMSLC reaccreditation process that we have gone through, and we will have to go through again because IMSLC and IDA have changed what the rules are to be dual accredited for IMSLC and IDA through IMSLC. But guess what? We've done so much work, I am not even concerned about that. And of course, all the new print materials. You know, the implementation guide A went out last year. The practical guide went out just about a month ago. And in the next 2 weeks, we're releasing 2 more books that have been getting worked on this last year, which is the Slingerland Approach to Teaching Manuscript Handwriting and the Phonetic Word List for Students, 2nd edition. Our designer delivered everything to me for final review yesterday, and I said, stop working on Saturdays. So next year, we got a couple of things we're really going to focus on. Back to those 5 big issues. In terms of number of instructors, we've got to deepen the bench. We've got new people coming in, which is wonderful, but we need to get more and we need to get them out teaching classes. So the revised intern program is up and running, and the feedback we've gotten on it so far has been pretty good. I can't wait for folks to finish the new intern program so we can get review of the full program. Current instructors have all volunteered to take on interns. A couple of them said, give me 2. One person said, give me 3. And I said, stop it. Grant funds have been actually found to cover all costs of training new instructors for the next year. So that is, again, a load off for some of our folks who have to do things like travel cross country just to take a class to become an intern. That's something that we want to make sure we are supporting them in. The path to certification, again, is all about ensuring quality. I don't want to get into this too much because I know that Karen's going to talk about it with certification. But with certification at teacher and instructor of teacher levels, the committee's been reviewing and recommending. I know there's more people about to submit because it's the end of the school year and people have started sending me the emails of when can I put together my certification portfolio? And that means that the front office gets to promote and celebrate that Slingerland certification is meaningful. I was very concerned. I'm going to be exceptionally diplomatic in this moment. I was truly concerned when I found that there was a program on the West Coast offering an OG certificate that means nothing for 6 hours of training. Those of you who cannot see the audience, everyone is doing the same face. We know what it takes to train someone to really help students. We know what it takes to learn an approach like this. We need to promote what that understanding really is. Terms of materials, only the best for Slingerland. That's the new goal. Digitization and update of our high demand materials continues. Our designer has asked to take the summer off, and we're negotiating that. She has a child and would like to spend time with him. And I said, you know, he's great, but you know what else is great? Design work. And we're also making sure, again, everything that we do is professionally designed. So good news is that she has a partner that she has recommended us to in case we need something over the summer, and we probably will. In terms of high quality classes, we've got 5 training sites this summer, 6 classes in 3 states. We're going to have our introductory and continuum comprehensive intern 1 and 2. There is requests for classes that I cannot fill because people are asking last minute for short classes, basis classes, and the like. What we really need to do next year and the next school year is update and relaunch our online and in-person short classes. We have 3 classes almost ready for a trial. That's the reading class, that's the handwriting class, and we've begun putting together materials on the screening procedures class. People in the last 2 years have given us really specific feedback on what we want to do to update those. So if you're a member of the faculty senate and those are one of the areas that you're really passionate about, again, email me, because we're going to be putting together our subcommittees to knock out the last pieces of those projects. And last, training locations. I know that I could rent us a hall anywhere we need. I know I could set up a summer school, lots of different places, but what we really need is partners. We need places where the administration, the educators see the value of Slingerland and are willing to spend the time with it to develop it and develop their staff so that they can see the kinds of transformative change the Slingerland approach can create. It also means I'm going to need more instructors. So what you can do, members of the Faculty Senate, first, if you're not on a committee, you can volunteer for one. If you are on a committee, thank you. If you're on 2 committees, slow down. We meet a lot. Second, if you have people you have trained or worked with who you think would like to become instructors and are good candidates, please put them in contact with me. Let me know. I'd love to have a conversation with them. We need to grow, and the way that's going to happen is through getting more people through that instructor program. And if you are someone who says, you know, I'd like to introduce Slingerland to a school, I'd like the front office to get to have a conversation with a principal or a superintendent or a head of school or an English teacher, please make the introduction. You know people I don't, and I would love the opportunity to let them know what Slingerland is up to. And last, just a giant thank you from the front office. I really could not do this without you. And I get so excited about coming to work because I get to work with amazing people who are generous and kind and thoughtful and driven in a way that I recognize as just the best of the best in teachers. So thank you also to our instructors, many of you who are traveling this summer to go to lead classes, and anyone else who is here as a Slingerland supporter. Thank you for all of your time, your energy, and everything else. I will hand it off to Sue.
Beth, thank you. And I think that everyone has access to the chat. Please put kudos in the chat on what you just saw, because without Seth, we would not be where we are right now. And it has been an honor and a pleasure to get to know him and his ability to organize, keep us on track, use technology, help us move forward, nag at us. He said brutal prioritization, that he can be very brutal, and that's necessary. So please put kudos to Seth in the chat box. And thank you so much, Seth. And Bonnie, jump in here anytime. So Bonnie and I are the co-chairs of the Faculty Senate Exec Committee, which is made up of the chairs from each committee. So we meet practically every other month or as needed. And one of the things that we, next slide, please, Seth. One of the things that we do every year is basically a Lifetime Achievement Award. I was trying to think exactly how do I summarize what the Slingerland Award means. This is something that was started long time ago, and is that, I mean, basically it's a Lifetime Achievement Award. So we asked for nominations this year. We got 5 or 6, all nominating the exact same person who could not be here today. So we had to get extremely sneaky because she was at a meeting on Friday. So we recorded this, and you can see the process of the Slingerland Award being awarded for 2025.
Just checking. Can everyone hear okay?
Can hear
Not
you.
yet.
Let me check. You can hear the recording or you can hear me.
Can't hear the recording, can hear you only.
Okay, let me fix that. Pardon me.
The share settings.
Yeah. the 2025 Slingerland Award winner. It has been a really difficult time to figure out how to give this award in a way that was timely, a way that people could celebrate, a way that people could be present and see what was happening, because we know that our person who is the 2025 Slingerland Award winner can't be at our meeting on Sunday. So let me simply start by saying I have been so pleased to get to know this person for the last couple of years, to get to work with them increasingly closely on projects for Slingerland, for the board, for the faculty senate, help with the front office, teaching me all of the things I don't know, and being wonderful about bringing us in and saying, here's how we get this done. This year, as every year, as executive director, I got to send out nomination forms to the full faculty senate exec. And I said, I need a recommendation. I did not get one recommendation. I got 5, all for the same person. It was impressive. And the things that they mentioned that were impressive, I thought, you know, when I think about what it is to be Slingerland, to be a teacher, it's about time, it's about energy, it's about expertise, and it's all things that have been offered freely and with a great aplomb over the last couple of years. Our 2020 Slingerland Award winner was one of the team that got to work on the practical guide this past year, often staying up until the truly wee hours of the morning. Often, I like seeing everybody looking around like, wait, what? To my both incredible gratitude and horror, sometimes 1 or 2 a.m. in the morning, that this is our person who represents the faculty senate to the board, often represents the board to the faculty senate. And I would like to, at this time, offer wonderful congratulations to our 2025 Slingerland Award winner, Tony Alto.
Oh my God. Really? Well, thank you very much. I am so surprised.
So
Thank
Tony,
you so much. This is such an honor. I am so surprised. I'm kind of getting tearful here. This is very unexpected. Thank you so much. What an honor. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you. I'm kind of at a loss for words. I'm not sure what to say. Thank you so much. What an honor. Thank you.
it is truly our pleasure. We've been secretly letting people into the room for the last 10 minutes.
Oh, thank
And
you.
so, Tony, I'm just gonna let people, please feel free to unmute, wish Tony well, let her know that you're here,
Oh.
because I don't think she can see you till you speak.
Tone.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Tone.
Taylor, oh
Hi,
my
Anthony.
Oh my gosh. Hi, Bay. Hi,
Hi.
Derek. Oh my gosh. Guys, thank you.
We're super proud of you, Tone.
Oh, Tara, thank you.
You are amazing, Aunt Tone.
Oh,
I want to be a
Bailey,
teacher
thank
like
you.
you.
Oh,
Congratulations.
thank you, Bay. Oh, this is such an honor, everybody. I'm so tearful. Thank you.
Congratulations, Tony.
Oh, Karen, thank
And what-
you. Thank you so much.
what-
I enjoyed so much working with you all.
I
Thank
wish
you.
we'd had this project a whole lot earlier because I would have known you a whole lot more years.
Oh, Karen, I learned so much from you during that time. Thank you so
Likewise.
much.
Likewise,
Oh,
it's
thank
just
you.
a joy to work with you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Karen. Thank you so much.
I agree,
Oh,
Tony, that Sue, and it's been such a pleasure to work on that together with you. And it was so fun
Oh.
the back and forth that we would engage in. And well, I think my training was this, just that around the world aspect. You have
Mhm.
done so much with Slingerland and taken it to so many countries all over the place. And
Oh,
I'm so glad
Sue,
that you were actually surprised because, boy, we've been
I am
plotting.
I am in shock. I am in total shock. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Oh, thank you, everybody.
Oh,
Oh my,
Congratulations, Tony.
Yeah,
oh, thank
congratulations.
you, Tim. Oh, I'm on Stacy, Mark,
Hey, Mom,
Mr. Alperon.
congratulations.
Congratulations, Tony.
Hi, Jen. Oh, thank you, everybody. Thank you. Hi, Shirley. Thank you so much, everyone.
This is so well deserved, Tony.
Oh, Stacy, thank you so much. Oh, I have learned so much from all of you. You know that. You know, thank you. Thank you, everybody. This is such a surprise. I am speechless. Thank you.
Tony,
When
I
he-
was watching your face while Seth was talking. I could see the wheels going like, who is this? Like, who can it be? Not knowing it was you.
Not at all, not at all. And I'm really thinking, I'm like, okay, faculty senate, yep. And the book, and then wee hours, I'm thinking, gosh, we were all up late. And then I started thinking, well, wait a second. So it did take a little bit for it to kind of sink in, but thank you, everyone. This is such an honor. I've learned so much from all of you. Thank you. Thank you. Hi, Tim.
Hey, Tone, Mom is smiling big time right now.
Guys, that's my brother right there. That's my brother. And then the Terry over there, that's my sister and my niece Bailey. And then my son down in the corner, Armand. So,
wow.
yes, and they're all hither and yon. Guys, thank you. This is such an honor. Thank you so, so much. I've
Well
learned so much
deserved,
from you.
Tone.
Thanks. Thank you very, very much. Thank you.
So I did want to share two of the things that came out from the nominations that I hadn't mentioned yet. One was that you worked so hard on the practical guide while also convalescing from a fall, and that one person specifically wrote about how they would watch you come in on wheelchair or with a walker, and you were just like so dedicated. You're like, hey, I need to stand up and move or stretch or do something, but we really need to understand what goes into B decoding. Like, what does it really mean? It was just
First things
amazing.
first. Was
Yes.
first things first, right?
First things first. And then we had some people who unfortunately could not be here, who also nominated you, or a couple of people I reached out to said, can you tell us anything that would explain why Tony would be such a great Slingerland Award winner? And somebody said, I have never seen anyone who dedicates patience, perseverance, and joy to education the way that Tony does. And that is somebody who helped train you at Hamlin Robinson. I'm like, well, they've got the experience, they know.
Oh,
matches what I've seen for sure.
oh, well, thank you. Thank you so much. That's so kind. I'm truly at a loss. I don't know what to say. This is totally a surprise. So, and so nice for all of you.
I have a question for you, Tony.
Yes.
You've been all over the place, and I started thinking, I don't even know all the countries that you've used Slingerland in. Could you just tell us a list of everywhere you've used Slingerland?
Oh, well, I mean, Istanbul, in the States, of course, and at Hamlin Robinson School. And I was even fortunate enough there was someone that we knew who's like 40 years old, 45 years old. And this is at the cabin out at Mom's house, and he wanted to learn how to read. And how to read and write. So he had his Slingerland lessons there. And then moving to Istanbul, I used it all the time in all of my classes. And with then I started doing it in Turkish. So Slingerland in Turkish. So learned how to learn about what all the phrases in the grammar in Turkish, and did that with kids, and with also an adult, taught her how to read and write. She was from Mount Ararat. And then and then here in Dubai, right? So I have my students here, and yeah, just kind of, and wherever they pop up, and now online, you can reach out to more students too. It's not as fun online, I have to say. It's nice when they come in the door from school and they go in the kitchen and make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and a glass of milk and they sit at the dining room table. That's a lot more fun. You know, that's a lot more. So.
If I'm not mistaken, so my mom was my kindergarten teacher, and I'm pretty sure
Yes,
she used some of the Slingerland techniques on me, so I'm a Slingerland beneficiary as well.
yes. So yeah, he was in my kindergarten class and he got full Slingerland, he got the whole thing as a kindergartner. Yes, he did. Yeah. Oh,
Excellent.
and
Well,
then
thank you so much, everyone, for joining today for this surprise reveal. Thank you so much
totally
to
a
you,
surprise.
Tony,
We
for
wouldn't have
everything
missed
you
it.
have done.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. And this is such an honor. Such an honor. Thank you all. I've learned so much from all of
Yay.
you. Thank you,
So glad to
everyone.
be part of it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, everyone. And I'm sorry I'm going to
Congratulations.
miss the meeting. Thank you, Jen. Thank you.
We love you,
Thank
Tony.
you. Oh, thanks, Tim. Was that Tim?
Yep.
Okay, thanks, Tim. Love you.
It could have been any
It's
of
like-
us, Tony. We all love you.
Thank you. It's like the
That's
Brady
right.
Bunch. I'm trying to think which tile is talking here. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. This is an honor. Thank you.
Wasn't that just fabulous? And to pull it off as a surprise, took a lot of coordination. And Seth, you just did a great job. And it was so fun to see her reactions in person. Well, at that meeting, but then to see it all again. That just, she truly was taken aback, and she truly, totally deserves this. So, moving on then to the projects that we've been working on for 2024-25. A lot of this was supporting Seth, because he was the one who was saying, okay, this needs to be updated, this needs to be aligned, and communicating and collaborating with him, and then coordinating the supporting committees. I mean, that just all flowed together. That these kind of summarize, and as we go through the various committees, you'll hear specific projects that we've worked on too. Next slide, please. One of the things that we really looked at was updating and aligning. And of course, structured literacy and the science of reading has finally caught up to what Mrs. Slingerland put together so many years ago. Thank goodness. And then really looking at our own historical terms within the Institute and the organization, which is the next slide. We had a lot of terms, and I confess I don't always use the right term now, because it's kind of in my brain that there's a staff teacher, and in fact, really looking at the various terms and how do we update these all together. And the next slide shows you a really good chart for this, that there is the instructor level, and that's anyone who's been certified as an instructor of teacher. And then if there is more than one instructor at a site, there would be a coordinator, who would be the person who's really responsible for communicating and the overall logistics of the training going on. And then an intern is someone who is currently taking or has completed intern 1 as part of their process to become a CSIT, which I finally have gotten into my brain, really does mean Certified Slingerland Instructor of Teachers. Took me a little bit to really wrap my brain around that. Next slide, please. So what are we looking at ahead in the next year? And consistency has been a key factor that has come up in terms of the certification process and the certification committee. And so looking at the requirements and the materials and the processes for all of that. So that's going to be a big focus. And in just a second, I'll talk about some key questions that we're going to be looking at. But then supporting Seth as he does his outreach to all of these people who are interested in our training, and he lets them know what we have and what we can do for them, really building those relationships and supporting him. And then we need to more clearly define the leadership structure. A couple years ago, as you remember, we split up into committees, and that was the best thing that we ever did. I'm so glad we did that, because that allowed us to truly get things done and involve more people than just a small group of people, because there's plenty to do. And as Seth said earlier, if you're not on a committee and you'd like to be, yes, we want you. And if you are on a committee, please continue. We so value everything that you do. And then Bonnie and I have been chairs of the faculty exec, where there isn't exactly a firm process in place right now, or how long people serve, or the replacement procedures. So, that's something we need to look at. And if you're interested in doing something like that, that would be great too. We would welcome you. So the next slide is some big questions that we're going to use to guide us as we go forward with this. And one is that consistent content knowledge. How do we convey that consistent content knowledge? It was so interesting working with Karen and with Tony on revising the textbook, because we were trained in different parts of the country by different people at different times. And there was a lot of back and forth. Well, do you say this? Well, do you say that? And it all comes down to the Slingerland approach. This is not a program, it's an approach. And there are different ways to say it. And even within that, we want to make sure we have consistent knowledge going out to those who are being trained. As part of that, how do we support and develop that reflective teaching that we need to do, and that our new teachers, our participants, need to do too? How do you make those decisions about what goes in a lesson plan and what students need more of this, and how you correct, and all of that, that reflective teaching? We also are looking at supporting and developing excellent coaches, and that becomes a real need as we have more people doing the extended practicum, which in my personal opinion is one of the best things that we did the last time around for the INSLIC accreditation. We had to put in a practicum piece. It had been totally missing. That extended practicum really lets people get feedback and coaching throughout that first year of using Slingerland, and it's extremely valuable. So Karen has been working on some more specific questions to come, and I think they're later in the slide deck, or at least some of them, and those will be going out to you too, that we'll really start looking at in terms of answering these bigger ideas. So with that, I would like to turn it over to Karen Lyons, who is the chair of the certification committee. And Karen needs to unmute.
Not until I finish coughing. Hang on.
Oh dear. I'm sorry, Karen. Would you like a cough drop? I've got some here.
This particular cough does not respond to cough drops.
Ah.
So, and it is, maybe it's departing finally. So I hope I'm not going to cough all the way through this. I don't think I will. The certification committee has been just a delight for me, because we have such wonderful folks on the certification committee working together. I know Julia's not able to be here, but I saw MJ and Darlene and Bonnie, and I don't know if Tracy's here or not. Do you know?
Casey
In
is
any
not at the
event,
moment.
yeah, and just this work couldn't be done unless all of us were working together on the various projects. And next slide, please. So we've been accomplishing a ton. We have finalized the processes for becoming teachers and instructors. We've worked on how we make the process of instructor of teacher work together with intern processes. We've developed guides with Seth's help and direction. We also have led 2 faculty senate meetings with information about our certification process, what we're doing. And as submissions come in, they come across our desks and we make recommendations for what needs to happen next. Next slide. So these are the handy dandy certification guides, and thanks to everybody who worked on them, and thanks to Seth's leadership, they are clear, they're easy to read, and they are really truly useful, and they are available on the website, Seth.
They are available on the website, or you can email the front office if you are an instructor, and we'll send you the combined one that has everything. That way you don't have to look at the teacher level versus the instructor teacher level.
Thank you. Next slide. We've all looked at this roadmap, I think. I don't know if anybody's here today who hasn't seen this roadmap. It's, again, one of the things I love best about it is it's easy to read. It makes sense when you look at it, and it's visually appealing as well as informative. Next slide. We also looked the last time at the certification rubric for the recorded lesson portion of the CST submissions. I don't know if anybody needs to hear anything more about the certification rubric itself. Okay. So as we've been working together as a certification committee, we've been doing a lot of growing. As Sue was saying, this is an approach, not a strict do it out of the box. There is so much room for personality. There's room for personal style. There are the places where we do ask ourselves, so what was it like in your training when you did that part? And we have asked ourselves as a certification committee those kinds of questions. And so it took us to the place of looking toward finding the spot where what we're doing as teachers represents the principles and the rationales of the techniques, even though it might look or sound slightly different. And so we've worked at articulating that as clearly as we can over the time that we've been working together. We're not expecting perfection. Nobody's perfect, doesn't matter what level it is. And 85% accuracy is a number that I think was given to us to start with. And that is what we're expecting. But again, which part of the 85% are we looking at? If we have 0% in one area, that makes it average out to 85%. Is that a real 85% or not? So we're continuing to look at the details in depth. It matters a lot how the portfolios are submitted to us. They need to be clean, clear, legible. And that goes without saying, that back to the variety piece, that there are times when an excellent Slingerland teacher will do something that absolutely isn't in any Slingerland training, but they have a really good reason for doing it. And so if anybody writes to us to say, like usually folks do A, B, C, but I'm doing E, F, G because this is how this fits and this is how I make it fit into the Slingerland principles and practices. Legibility is key, including if you're showing us a video, we need to be able to see the teacher for sure. We need to be able to see the video resources, whatever's being posted that the kids are looking at, decoding words or charts for preparation for reading. And we need to have clean copies of the text that's going to be read from in the video. The auditory part of it is kind of a trick because some kids are really quiet, and we certainly don't expect anybody to be browbeating kids into speaking up if they can't, but we do need to be able to hear the teacher for sure, and at least some of the kids. And lesson plans have to represent a clear backwards design. Next slide. The certification guides, and I think whatever else goes out with to folks who have requested to submit a portfolio, spell out the precise things that we really want to see. And we are sticklers for that at this point. We need to absolutely see each piece that's there. Some of the pieces, we don't have question of the day as part of the submission. We don't have dictation as part of the submission. Just the key parts that would be taught in any particular year. One of the things that has happened for us as a group, as we've looked at now a whole variety of submissions and applications, is that there are patterns that have begun to emerge. There's a place that we often see where folks are not having their kids name and trace. And we'd love to know why that is when someone isn't doing it, because it might make perfect sense. A minimum requirement for us, this is part of that 85% thing, is that when somebody tells about a letter, they need to say in order, H, house. We haven't always seen that. And folks need to be providing their corrective feedback in the corresponding modality. Visual correction starts with visual input on the visual side of the plan. Next slide, please. We need to see all the steps of preparation for reading. Sometimes folks have left one step out or done a couple of steps twice instead of the whole 4 steps. We are asking for folks to send us enough structured reading that we can get a good sense for how well the teacher understands the practice and implements it. They may be teaching kids who don't need a whole lot of structured reading anymore, that they can just do a bit and then move on to studying aloud or studying silently. But for the purpose of the submission, we ask them for structuring of at least 2 short paragraphs or a long paragraph that's complicated because of the sentence styles, compound or complex. So even if it takes a little bit longer than your kids are used to having when you're submitting for the portfolio, please give us a really good chance to see your structured reading skills. And another place that we see a variation of skill level is the attention that folks give to keeping their kids honest with punctuation, with phrasing, and rereading. We know how important rereading is because when you've chunked up a text into the component parts, until you hear it all read again as a unit, you don't have full comprehension. So we're asking for folks to be sure that they are doing sufficient rereading. Next slide. Did we look at this before?
This is the instructor teachers level. So this is the roadmap.
Oh, thank you,
for those
thank
who are
you.
moving
Yeah.
from the teacher to the instructor level.
Yeah, same format, but thank you, Seth, for all the consistency you provide for us. And so the roadmap is clear, again, different and specific. We ask folks who are applying for CSIT to send us their materials for a lecture that they've presented, which would include their notes, slides, any lesson plans, any feedback that the participants have given the applicant as at the end of the lecture time. And then we ask them to write about the lesson plan materials that they have submitted, what went into making the plan. I'm sorry, the lecture plan, what went into making the decisions for what was emphasized or the order of things, whatever those details were. And we asked them to reflect on how effective they thought the lecture was and what it was that they might change if they had the chance to do it over again. They also write for us about times when they have experienced being a coach. Next slide. Once the materials are in and the certification committee has had a chance to review them, we organize, we call it, a panel interview, but it's really a conversation among colleagues, and where we have a chance just to get to know the person who's applying for that CSIT level. The certification guide is a great resource. Everything we need to know is there. The questions are sent to the applicant ahead of time. And sometimes we ask follow-up questions based on what's being said at the time, but there are no surprise questions. This is really about getting to know the candidate well. So next year, we are going to be focusing on making our communication even more consistent and making our expectations for certification more and more clear. One of the things that I think makes a lot of sense for next year is for encouraging our applicants to provide some reflection on what it is they're submitting. And we will be doing some ongoing training, discussion leading, as we're working with folks working towards certification. How do we support them? So the patterns, I guess I got ahead of myself. The patterns that are emerging, it took time to kind of see and to come to the place of deciding, is something we're seeing just a part of what, as Sue was saying, how do you do it? What did your director say to do about that? And what really needs to be brought to somebody's attention for improvement. So those are the areas where there is more variety than we expected to see. Next slide. I'm done. Okay, thank you.
Okay, course management. This is the group. Denise and Aaron, have real jobs, so they can't do everything that we do in the middle of the day. But thank heavens for everyone else working very, very hard. Next slide. Okay, this is what we've worked on or completed. So we completed the 26 slide decks for the Slingerland signature lectures. And I like Seth's words, so many slides. It really was. We outlined a recommended order and pacing of those lectures, made sure that there was a summary, a rationale, and the goals that need to be involved in each one, and provided some guidance as you start to put the slides together, especially for this summer school, and you look at them and go through them to put your lectures together. 2 or 3 things to think about. I think probably the biggest one is you may add something that you need, but you may not take away anything that's there. That's what our signature slides were about, making sure that we had everything that needed to be there. Okay, next slide. I was going to put some samples, but it's like, people can take a look at those on their own. So for next year, we're actually piggybacking off of what Karen and Seth have both said, that, all right, we need some refinement in what goes on in our lectures and our summer schools. So the first thing we'll look at is people that are using the slide decks this summer can give us some feedback, let us know what needed to be changed. If something needs to be added, we have missed something, which is very easily done. After a week, we'd go back and go, oh yeah, what about this part? Let me look at it again. Then we're going to start outlining what content does really need to be included every single day in a lesson plan when you are teaching a Slingerland lesson. Should tracing be there all the time and never go away? Should letter, keyword, sound always be there and never go away? And so the thought is give ourselves that box, that outline that we are free to roam around and, as Karen said, put our personalities in and take a look at what our students need, but stay within the limits of what has been used all these years, and it's now in our practical guide, so that it is truly a Slingerland lesson. And then take a look at the instructional framework for our comprehensive classes to make sure we as instructors are giving that information to our participants and / interns so that they understand where that framework is and can work within it and make sure nothing is left out. So when the poor certification committee gets to see all these lessons, they go, yeah, that's what it should look like. It's not 85%, it might be 98.
Mhm.
So that's where we are going. Okay.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. You might notice I am not Shirley or Edward or Nancy, but Shirley and Edward were not able to make it today, so they asked me just to present. The Professional Development Committee is really focused on providing the extra materials that are necessary for helping people who are in between classes. How do we move on to deeper understanding of knowledge? Nancy Cushman White has been leading the Sustaining Slingerland courses for years now. That's part of that process of how do we make sure people have the content knowledge they need, even if they've learned the approach. And while a very small committee this year, they have gotten something really important done, which is they've helped us redefine light mentoring, that what that's going to be. The reason why this had to be done is because we have light mentoring, coaching, and extended practicum. And when light mentoring was first created, extended practicum did not exist. So extended practicum is its own class where you get a one-on-one coaching experience over the course of 9 months, multiple full observations of your lesson plans, lots of feedback. We say it takes approximately 10 to 20 hours to complete. I don't think that's even remotely true, but we'll be talking with the extended practicum coaches at the end of this year about what was it really taking, because that's not light mentoring. Everyone who takes a comprehensive class is available to request light mentoring for the following school year. What this is, now that we have it defined, is somewhere between 15 to 30 minutes of time from an instructor on a volunteer basis. No one is being forced to do this. You don't necessarily have to continue to work with the instructor you had over the summer, but the limit is you have to come in with a really concrete question. So someone might say, I'm working on my structured reading. Here's the passage, and here's how I've done it. Can you give me some feedback in this little bit of time? What we don't want it to be is unofficial mentoring for the rest of their political or the rest of their professional life, because you are the most amazing people I've ever gotten to work with or talk with. And I have seen our Slingerland instructors say, oh, this person has a 5-minute question. Cool. I am going to take care of them for the next 3 years. And that is an actual example of something that happened in 2022, which led to the question of what is this? The other thing that the Professional Development Committee has done is they put together a page of recommendations on how to lead and limit a light mentoring session. If someone is looking for ongoing support throughout a year, they should take extended practicum and the Bureau will support them in that process. If they need a longer meeting than the 15 to 30 minutes might take, that's where they can arrange one-on-one coaching, and we can make sure that our instructors are compensated for their time and expertise, which is only appropriate. That I know that you would give away every minute of your time to make everything better in education. And we know that the reality is we need to make sure that you are taken care of as well. So next year's project is going to build on that work, which is as people are leaving the comprehensives, they want to know what can they start looking at, what are the best foundational texts, what are the things that they can learn to research. And so professional development is going to be looking at categorizing and updating our existing bibliography, adding more resources, and then the front office will be taking portions of that and making it available through our website, so that if somebody finishes a class and would like a little extra information or a place to start with that, the research that needs to be done, they'll have a variety of resources in front of them. And with that, I'd like to pass to Kay.
Okay, thanks. First, thanks to those folks who are listed. We met several times over the last year. So Jen obviously wears many hats. Lindsay, Anita, Pat, Myrna, and Bev was able to join us for a few of the meetings, which is really exciting. Because anytime you're reviewing or changing materials, she would probably be one of the first people you want to make sure to check with to see if you're doing it right. So next slide. Many of this year's projects were the final outcomes of things that started in the year prior. A lot of this has already been discussed. So the practical guide obviously was a collaboration of many committees and reviewing and a special task force. Y'all have seen it. It is now in publication. It will be available for the summer training classes, which is very exciting. The student word list needed to be updated, and a lot of our time was spent going page by page, CVC order to CVC order. Were there important phonograms or elements that were missing that needed to be added? Those are in their final edits. Seth reported on that the goal for publication on that is now the beginning of summer in the next couple of weeks. Same thing for the manual for teaching manuscript that had edits primarily to be consistent with the language and information within the practical guide. So making sure that those were uniform and consistent. We added some numeral formation information and language to go along with letter. Again, that is also set for publication for the beginning of summer. So next slide. A lot of discussion took place relative to the phonogram chart versus phonogram strips and their use practically in classrooms and their use as a class material for first year training. So we discussed the potential for revising, editing, reorganizing the chart, ended up with the decision that the chart is going to be sunsetted, that practically speaking as a process for Slingerland methodology, the phonogram strips are much cleaner, much more consistent. They're easier to order as you go. And we also discussed creating an expanded morpheme set. So rather than the current material, which is the phonogram strips plus suffix prefix, create an expanded phonogram set and then an affix morpheme set, which would include prefixes, suffixes, and roots. We have a spreadsheet we've been working off of in terms of what morphemes, what sounds, what everything goes into each thing. Those are in final edits. And then course management approved that to be a material in place of the chart. So that's exciting. Some ongoing pieces, just to let you know, the screening materials are still wrapped up in some publication issues, but as long as they are required material for second year, making sure that that administrative manual is consistent with the language of the science of reading and is material that supports current research around early screening and intervention becomes that much more important. A family resource guide is one that was discussed at last year's meeting as something that had potential as a useful resource and will likely be a focus of one of the projects for the coming year. I think that was the end of our slide. Thanks.
Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you to all of the amazing chairs and volunteers who make up the Faculty Senate. Thank you to all of you for attending the spring meeting. I'm so glad to see so many familiar faces. I know that we have people who signed up specifically to get the video of this later in the week, some of whom whose names are new to me. And I love seeing new names because it either means we have new people, or someone got married and I didn't find out and I get to find out later, and that's exciting too. With that, we'll go ahead and stop the recording.